Thank you, Speaker Sir, for giving me the time to speak on matter of urgent public importance under Rule 50 on the topic unemployment in Nagaland. Nagaland has one of the youngest population in the country. If we look at census 2011, it is 13-year-old data, but it still will give us a rough idea of the present situation. If we look at the census 2011, out of the population of 19.8 lakh, people below the age of 35 constitute about 14 lakh. And the youth between the age of 15 and 35 constitute about 40%, which is approximately 8 lakh of the population. Over the next 15 to 20 years, this group will be at the center, and this group will be the main drivers of the state, whether it's regards to social, political, or economic affairs of the state. The Nagaland Vikshit Nagaland that we are looking at, Vikshit Nagaland 2047, will really depend on how we shape and mold the youth of today. The youth in our state is confronted with various challenges, and one being the unemployment challenge. The educated youth and the labor force are increasing day by day, but the growth of employment is very slow. That is also because of the slow pace of development in the private sector. And the other thing, government service jobs are saturated. Unemployment is a very complex issue, not only for our state, but for the entire country and the world over. When we look at our youth, we have a talented pool of young people who are creative, who are innovative, and with a very high entrepreneurial spirit. But when we look at the statistics, Nagaland has consistently been shown as one of the highest unemployment rate. In the recent periodic labor force survey, for the latest data, it shows Nagaland has the highest unemployment rate of 7.1, much above the national average of 3.5%. And on top of that, the youth between the age of 15 and 24, our statistics show that is the highest with about 27%. But again, what is also little concerning is when we look at the same data of the same survey in 2019 and 20, we see that the unemployment rate was at 25.7%. And then in 22-23, it went down to 4.3%. And now in 23-24, it has increased by 65% to 27.1%. Now let us try to first understand how is this statistics derived at. Of course, there are many sources, but I am assuming one of the main sources is the employment exchange of our state. Few months back, the government had introduced a program for self-employment for youth through the scooter taxi services. And then the criteria was you have to get an unemployment certificate from the employment exchange. There we had hundreds and hundreds of young people queuing up outside the office to get the unemployment certificate. Now, this artificially inflates employment figures as many engaged in private or informal sector may still identify themselves as unemployed. So statistics could be misleading. Firstly, what we need to understand is the meaning of unemployment. And the second question we need to understand is, are our youth unemployed or are our youth unemployable? Unemployment is the lack of job. And unemployability is when individuals are actively seeking for jobs, but are not being able to get because they lack hard skills, soft skills, or some technical competencies. When we look at the recent Forest Guard advertisement, for 154 posts, I'm told about 23,000 plus young people applied. Of course, this number is very worrying. But when we look at the advertisement, we will see that the criteria was very simple. For the advanced tribe, class 10 pass. For the backward tribe, metric appeared. Very simple criteria. Here many questions arise. How many of these job seekers are earning their livelihood through businesses or through some income generating enterprise? How many of these youths are actually qualified in some skills? At the face of it, I doubt majority of those who fall under this category would not have applied. So the question again is, these thousands of young people who have applied for this job, were they or are they unemployed or are they unemployable? Looking at the general context, the first thing that we need to fix is the unemployability problem. So in simple terms, unemployment is a symptom, but unemployability is the illness. And so we as a whole, we need to first fix what the illness is, and that is the unemployability problem. The basic foundation of any young people as they prepare for the job market is the education system. And we know that the education system, not only in Nagaland, but entire country, there's a total disconnect between what they learn and once they're ready for the job market. And though young people may come out, pass out with certificates, it becomes very, very difficult to fit into the job market. I don't want to get into details of the education because I have especially 3 of our members who are from the education domain who will be speaking on it, but this is the observation. Today, when you look at the job market and the industries around, everyone is beginning to adopt new technologies and special roles. And our education system is still struggling to keep pace with it. Many young people enter the workforce with theoretical knowledge, and like I mentioned earlier, with a certificate, but really not the required skill that is needed for the job market and the modern employers. Today, we're talking about artificial intelligence, we're talking about blockchain, we're talking about Internet of Things. This is technology. Technology is moving so fast that we just have no other option but to keep pace with it, integrating into every aspect of our lives. Sometimes we Nagas, we have a false pride of saying we are unique. And everything that don't work, we say we are unique. But if we continue to keep harping on our uniqueness, the world will move on and we will be left high and dry. There are many stakeholders who needs to look into this. Many stakeholders is not one party that can solve this problem. But I want to pick up 3 stakeholders for today's discussion. Today, 60 members of the House, along with the officers and all the salaried staff of the government, are doing our best for the betterment of our state, so that our future is better. When we ask ourselves, who is the future or what is the future? Our youth are our future. So if we work so hard, but if we do not understand who we are working for and what we are working for, all the thousands of crores of money that is spent on our salary will be shamefully wasted. We have to try our best to make sure that collectively we understand what we are working for. And I want to also mention the teachers, not singling them out, but When we are preparing ourselves for the world of work, like mentioned earlier, education institution is where the foundation is made. And this, apart from all the other salaried people, which is funded by the public fund, including the teachers, need to understand this. Why do we get the salary to do what we are doing? We are doing this for our future. And that future is our youth. Secondly, government cannot solve all the problems. It has to be a collective responsibility. And we as parents, and parents all over the state, need to understand this. We have to stop pressurizing our young people to get a government job. I know many young people who are doing exceptionally well, earning their livelihood, loving what they do. It could be a bakery, it could be a tailoring, it could be helping farmers produce, reach the market. It could be anything. But the societal pressure and the parental pressure is taking a toll on our young people. And so it is important the parents collectively also need to understand this. The mindset shift has to be done. Thirdly, the third stakeholder is the youth themselves. Many young people, like I mentioned, are running their own enterprises. They are doing exceptionally well. But again, we have a majority of young people who are too comfortable in the four corners of their rooms and refusing to get out to even gain skills or do some training for themselves. They're just waiting for the government job to fall into their lap, or some subsidies or some freebies to come to their rescue. I've also heard some young people complaining that when we apply for jobs, we don't get the jobs because we are asked to get experience certificate, or unless you're experienced, you don't get the job. But experience does not mean a salaried job. Experience does not mean that you have to be paid for. You can volunteer in the church activity, you can volunteer in the community activities, you can go and help some business enterprises, or you can even just wait a shop. Those are the experiences that you get. Now, so the bottom line is employability is something that we need to look into. Where are we going wrong? What are the interventions that we need to make? Then there are many interventions, but 5 interventions, even brief, I want to share this with the House. One is upgrading the education system. Like I mentioned, I would like to keep it to the other honorable members to speak on it. Number 2, skill development and expanding vocational training centers. Today, the government is, through various departments, are imparting a lot of skill development programs. And I know many young people, again, who are working outside, here in Nagaland also, and working outside. In fact, me as personally, I was someone who was very against young people going out about 15 years back. But over the years, and with experience, and with times changing, I strongly believe that our young people should train, go out, find a job, because when you go out, you are meeting different type of people, you're also gaining experience, and we're hoping that one day they'll come back and contribute to the state and also teach the work culture to the younger generation. But the focus on skill development mostly is on the service sector that we see today, currently. And I would like to propose that more skill development should be in the emerging sectors, it should be in technologies and in the manufacturing unit as well. Thirdly, when you're talking about experience, it is also a genuine concern, and some intervention needs to be done by the government as well. This is through internship and apprenticeship program. We need to introduce a special program called could be Youth Employment Scheme, where this would be a G2B partnership, government to business partnership, where government can get into partnership so that our young people can go and intern or be part of some apprenticeship program so that the practical skills they learn and they are ready for the real job market. The fourth one, entrepreneurship and MSME support. Micro, small and medium enterprise. The present state should not only focus on giving jobs, but also support people who can create jobs. And that is going to come through entrepreneurship and MSME sector. Today, when we look at our entrepreneurs and MSME sector, our young people are budding. They're coming up. But there's only so much they can scale up. They have actually reached a certain level and they're not being able to scale up. And this is where government need to again aggressively come in so that the ecosystem is put in place for these young people and these entrepreneurs and these business communities to thrive. Our government, under our Honorable Chief Minister, have come up with various innovative programs, and one very notably the Chief Minister's Microfinance Initiative. In the last 2 years, it has benefited 1,802 beneficiaries for credit and loan. Also through Startup Nagaland, we have about 384 startups registered, and these 384 startups together are giving employment to about 1,539 young people. When we look at our MSME, currently our MSME data, we have about 63,908 Udyam registered. Udyam registration is like an identity card for enterprises, like how we have Aadhaar card. So it's like an ID card for businesses and MSMEs. So we have, the numbers are increasing. Today, we are also aggressively doing a lot of capacity building training program for young people across all the districts in the state. But unfortunately, there's a lukewarm response. And this could be probably because there is no direct financial incentives to the people. And that is the attitude of our people, of our young people. We are also struggling. The departments who are making an effort and understanding the unemployment problem or the unemployability problem is making an effort to make sure that our young people get access to these opportunities. But unfortunately, again, it's difficult for young people to really get out of their comfort zone. And this is where 60 legislators, we have our own constituencies, we need to make sure that we tell our constituents, we have to make sure that we encourage our young people to take part in it, to get out of the comfort zone and get trained in any type of training that comes their way. We have to let our young people know that there's no more freebies, but performance will be rewarded. The last one is the private sector. It's in continuation of the fourth point. When we look at the private sector today, I remember, as far as I remember, 20 years back, for the past 20 years back, our government has been trying our best to invite investors to our state. And unfortunately, we have not seen any concrete or big investors come and invest. When an investor knows that the environment for investment and business is not conducive, when there are multiple taxation and they're not in a position to secure the business, no sane investor is going to invest in Nagaland. And so the Naga political issue that we've been discussing and deliberating on very, very seriously, headed by our Honorable Chief Minister, Naga's solution has to come as soon as possible. Not just for our identity, not just for the identity of the Nagas and the rights of the Nagas, but also for the future of our young people and their livelihood. Till such time, there's a request to the government that we need to make a concerted effort, especially on two sectors, that is on power and on road. Once these two sectors are put in place, I can foresee the private sector flourishing, businesses growing, economy expanding, and our young people employed. Thank you, Honorable Speakers.
Sir, thank you so much for entertaining this topic under Rule 50. But before that, I also want to, on behalf of all the 60 members, congratulate my honorable colleague Tompang for his birthday today. This under Rule 50, I just want to broadly highlight on two topics. One is the dignity of our workers, especially in the private sector. And for that, I come back to the issue of unskilled, semi-skilled, and skilled labor, which is covered under the Nagaland Minimum Wage Act 2025. We are one of the lowest in the country. If you look at the economy of our state, we are accelerated economy. From school education alone, we have 32,801 teachers, which are employed at various platforms, central schools, government schools, and private schools. In the private school sector alone, 14,604 are covered. Now the issue is, are they getting paid properly? Are they getting the dignity of a teacher? So if you look at our neighborhood, we know that we are the lowest paid, and for those, especially in the private sector, which are entering the state of Nagaland, the kind of dignity they are getting in terms of their wage, it is way above the dignity of their livelihood pattern. So I just want to bring to the notice of the House that we need to create schedule list based on employment, on sectoral categories, on job trades, on areas of area. Like, for example, the Hazara you get in Kohima, it will be different from other regional places. So to create a salary structure and also to create a schedule list to cover those who are defenseless, so that the dignity of those who are trying to earn an honest living are protected, and so on and so forth. I also want to bring to the notice of the House the second point. Honorable Member Madam Hekani had just mentioned about what are our talents. Our talents are essentially in the service sector, in aged care sector. So today I must congratulate, under the leadership of our Honorable Chief Minister, we are doing our best. A lot of initiatives have been taken under various schemes, a lot of promotion to bring employability amongst our children, amongst our youths are happening, and also using the platform of Hornbill Festival, especially the country partners, we are getting attention from different parts of the world. And I'm proud to say that today our children are going to Japan to get employment. In Angame, it's called logi there, like the knit yarn, that ball. Our eyes will become as big as that. Our ears will become like that zara, like that which we use for husking rice. So our youths today, especially we need to look at the need demand labor market at the domestic level, at the international level. Our young youths need to go out to the world and bring the best practices and bring what we call, see how other people are doing things, because we need to upscale the values, we need to upscale our entrepreneurial literacy, our financial literacy, and have a sense of discipline, so that some of them, even if they stay outside, that's another thing, but some of them, they come back and nurture, nourish a new sense of what we call Naga livelihood patterns and employability. We know that India is a big country, a vast, mighty country it is, democratic. As India gears towards its new NEP, National Education Policy 2020, we see that there is a lot of stress. And there are a lot of convergences happening across different boards, across different departments also. And we know that under India, the National Skill Development Council, NSDC, they have identified regulatory bodies. They have created mechanisms so that vocational education is upscaled from the school level. And we have 10 trades which are also being introduced in terms of vocational education across our schools. Under the Sector Skill Council, which essentially looks after what we call competency levels, accreditation, certification levels. I must, to the point saying that the National Vocational Education Program The institutional process is now put in place. The finer details concerning curriculum, all these are yet to come into place. So I'm so happy to announce that the Department of School Education as well as SCRT, they are also coming out with the Nagaland School Education Curriculum Framework on vocational education to take the instance of music education, like the Trinity College, which is based in what we call London. They give examinations, and our children can give exams here. Our children pass those exams, and these are international degrees. And starting from back home in our own village, in our own towns, you get these degrees, and you can go to any parts of the world because that degree allows you to have that mobility. So for us, our government, and we are preparing, we should initiate equivalence of degrees where we can collaborate with international fora institutions, where we get degrees here, and our mobility in terms of our degree is also ensured that we are able to have that mobility to go across any parts of the world. And so in that regard, the NCBT, which is the national regulatory body, they are identifying trade skills, they are identifying job skills, which are again linked with international labor market as well as linked with domestic requirements. So in that matter, we know that we as a small state in this vast mighty ocean of democracy, we depend on Delhi for many things. We know how international trades, the pattern of international trades are taking place. India's response to vocational education, I'm sorry to say this, but it's more like a knee-jerk reaction, especially in terms of how China is bringing this thing and how we are seeing that the labor force, it is moving across the South Asian countries, especially Vietnam, Bangladesh. India, is it really able to tap? Are we educationally qualified? So I will propose that in the years to come, we will have to come out with a system which onboard all those institutions and departments which are providing vocational education. We need to upscale. We need to do system change in order to upscale this. The certifying process, the accreditation system, this we can come out because education being a concurrent list. The state also have its own mandate, although we also follow this union list. So I also want to congratulate our Honorable Chief Minister. On 5th September, he will be launching a program called SOAR Mission. Under this pedagogy curriculum, this will be upgraded, upscaled. We are partnering with institutions which will hopefully upscale our curriculum, our vocational programs on a global scale. And we hope that through this kind of channel, we will be able to bring a more inclined, a more pattern platform so that our children are able to, or our government are able to put things into place. So the issue which my honorable colleague raised, the issue of employment and the issue of employability, that depends on the kind of training you get. And we must admit that India still has a long way to go, but it does not matter. We have seen a lot of difficult times in our history. We have seen war ravaging, we have seen low intensity warfare ravaging our people. Our older generation, they have seen a lot. So straight from what we call primary occupation, today we are faced with challenges of tertiary and secondary occupations. And today, what is important is we need to bring back the Naga pride. And also, people across the international platform, people across or through the national platform also, we need to rebuild how Nagas can be trusted again. And for that, I see that we deserve better. Our children deserve better. Thank you so much.